we had a strong consensus that this week's IPCC report on the state of the climate crisis reinforces the need for an active campaign around an anti-racist Green New Deal for Greater Milwaukee. Let me, I'll skip that. There was a story on WUWM on I believe Monday or Tuesday morning about the part of the IPCC report that may get overlooked is that it has some sections that deal with the regional impact of the climate crisis, including on the upper Midwest. And they talked, Chuck Quirnbach from WUWM talked with one of the authors of that section of the report on the potential for increased flooding and impact on lead in the ground and lead in the water, and all of those things that connect up and kind of help us make our case for a Green New Deal. So I want to make two proposals to this body that have been approved by the outreach committee, that we begin to move forward out of the research phase and into the action phase. Proposal one is that the outreach committee send a letter to potential allies and partners to assess interest in building a campaign for the anti-racist Green New Deal, that we do that before Labor Day. We have prepared an initial list on our brainstorming page, but could use some help getting better contact information for the relevant groups. And I'll post the link to the brainstorming page again when I'm done here. The second proposal is that a few days after we send out our letter to potential coalition partners, we send out a news release explaining why we think the IPCC report points to the need for an anti-racist Green New Deal and some of our ideas for a core platform for that campaign. The idea being that we might be able to reach other people besides the people and organizations we send the letter to. Those are the two proposals coming from the outreach committee. What do y'all think? Well, a lot of you were already there.
So we're open for discussion on these two proposals. Who would like to start? I'll keep a stack. I can start with one thing because I was very late to that meeting. I had the time wrong. So one thing, I'm grateful that we're looking at doing that before Labor Day. And that sounds like, we're making this a big priority. And I'm wondering, how are we going to come together to compose that letter, or are you volunteering to compose it, Mike? Pass.
To answer, I'm planning on preparing a draft, and we'll put it as a Google Doc inside the outreach committee folder, and people will be able to comment and add stuff to the draft as we go along. But I'll start the preparation.
Okay.
Unless somebody else wants to take on the task.
Anybody else on the stack for discussion of that proposal? Okay, so I'll call the question then, unless you want to, Mike.
We can proceed.
Okay, so are there any stand-asides? And the proposal is that, go ahead and state your proposal again, Mike. The first
The
one.
brief version is that the outreach committee send a letter to potential allies and partners to assess interest, that we send that out no later than Labor Day, and that shortly thereafter we put out a press release to put on the website and also send out to media outlets to basically outline our perspectives on what needs to be done next.
Okay, so just for my clarification personally, is that's the two things then put together, right, as one proposal?
If there's sentiment to do that, yes, we can do that.
Okay. Are there any stand-asides?
I'm okay with it, but frankly, it seems like, I mean, what I like about it is it's aggressive and so forth, but it seems to be mostly coming from Mike and you know, I don't know that, you know, it presumes that we have some sort of synthesis, right, that between now and then. And so, yeah, I think it's like a stretch goal. Good thing. I hope we can make it fruitful. So it's good, but I don't entirely grok it, you know, pass.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, Tom, and I kind of agree, you know, like we're that, and it'll be interesting to see when we put it all together, you know, how it's going to market the groups that we're approaching. So we'll be able to see that before it actually goes out. So any other discussion? Any stand-asides? Any blocks? Okay, thank you, Mike, and the outreach committee for that proposal, and it has passed. So is there anything else we need that you want to include in the outreach committee report?
I'm done. As previously noted, I'm linking to adding links in the chat to both our brainstorming document, which also has the organizations that we've talked about as far as potential coalition partners, and people should look at that and add either contact information or additional organizations that we can send the letter to. And then I will also add a link to the WWM story.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, so let's see, we're up to our team building, team skills. And next time we're going to talk about managing dynamic complex change, resources, personnel. That'll be a group discussion for next time. This time we're going to respond privately to me, please, in the chat on this question, number 1. What are the 2 verbal options we've discussed and practiced for how to start a difficult interaction? So we've discussed 2 verbal options. Please just put it in the chat. Okay. So far I have one response. I don't know who it's from. Wonder why I don't know who that's from.
Try right clicking on, well, the avatar is,
Right clicking on the avatar.
hold on. I thought, oh no, okay, I didn't rename myself, sorry.
That's all right. It was just no name there. Didn't even say Wisconsin Green Party, if that's you. Okay, bye. All right, so I have one response, two responses. Let's see. Okay. So I need a little bit more specificity. Okay. Okay, here's the best response so far. Start with positive feedback. Good. That's correct. And the positive feedback needs to be specific. So I can't just say good job, right? It doesn't have the sincerity that's needed in order to have the impact. I can't say I like you, but, right? Not specific. It doesn't tell what I like about the person, why I value them as a team member. So it doesn't have the sincerity behind it. And but, of course, is an eraser word. What's the other one besides starting out with specific praise? We talked about another option. I'll give you 1 minute to respond to that in the chat. Let's see here. Huh, I did so good before I was able to find the chat. Now I can't find it. Okay, chat. Okay. All right. So we're just talking about starting an interaction, remember? The other option that we talked about in the past was using empathy statements. So can anybody give us an empathy statement? Remember, I'm starting out a difficult conversation. What would be an empathy statement? Specific praise is one thing I can start with. The other one is an empathy statement.
I understand you're burned out, been working too hard.
Perfect, perfect, Tom. Right. I understand you're burnt out. That's a perfect empathy statement. I understand you're burnt out. And then I would bring up the concern, right? I think you're really good at running our meetings. You start on time and you end on time. I have a concern about whatever, right? Okay, so that's starting out with specific praise or starting out with an empathy statement. All right, and we are out of time for that. We can also be thinking about question number 2 there. How do we help someone to cool down? Okay, just be thinking about that for another time because we're out of time for this one. Okay, educational component. Tom and I have prepared some stuff on the Juneteenth thing that Tom did for us. It is on the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. And it includes the Children's Mobile Crisis Team, part of that stuff that we got from them, and the Prison Action Milwaukee, which is a post-sentencing organization. So once somebody has already been sentenced, they help. Children's Mobile Crisis Team helps parents. So say somebody's child is breaking windows and tantruming and the parent can't deal with it themselves, they can call the Children's Mobile Crisis Team in Milwaukee. And I'm going to turn it over to Tom for the rest of the Juneteenth part of the presentation.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see. Oh, I'll start a timer. So how much time should I give myself?
Let's see, 12 minutes or 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, if you could mute Greg, that'd be good. So this
Sure.
this is somewhat prepared and also somewhat chaotic. I don't think I'm going to meet the expectation of focusing that much on particular programs. It's more, there'll be a little bit of that, you know, like what nonprofit does what. It'll be more of like a tour. Oh, I just realized too, I gotta unshare my screen. Stop share. Then I gotta share it again. Advanced sharing options. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, almost all participants. Oh, I'm getting there. Okay, so I'm going to share, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to share sound and I'm going to optimize for video clip. And what am I sharing? Interesting. Desktop 2 must be this one. All right, so I'm just doing this kind of in chronological order. Greg called me up and we ended up doing some visits. And this will eventually make some sort of sense, but let's just kind of bear with me. So the first thing is we went to this. Well, we went to two places in one day: the Sherman Phoenix Rising Center and the Wisconsin Black Historical Museum. So there's we met with this guy in the Historical Society, Claiborne Benson, executive director and founder. There's this big expansive room in the black adjacent to the normal exhibit part of the historical museum, which is 2620 West Center Street. I had never been there. Very interesting place. But this is kind of the room that is behind the card is, I guess, say, kind of a nice place for gatherings. No windows, but anyhow, okay. I did a video. I'm not gonna, it might be a quick test just to see. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but this is the outside, and let's see. This is some of the inside coming in. It's kind of obviously an older venue, but there's some really interesting stuff in there. I'll do one more hop in this video. And it's interesting. You can actually read. I panned slow enough so you can actually read. So sound check. Are you guys hearing me? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just wondering. Okay. So let me see. So this is yeah, what else? So this is a an album, and within here, yeah, so you can get a little tour of the Black Museum if you go there and look in the album and watch the video. Then we drove after that. We drove to Phoenix Rising, and there's some interesting photos within that building. I had never been there. It's an interesting place. This is another quick video. I'll give you an idea of what it looks like here. Those Greg, those lights are. And they have a. This is literally inside the bank vault right here, where inside the safe.
Yeah, just these oils, or do you have
Yes.
other ones too?
No, just those. Yeah, that maker. We are cooperative of.
And this woman here, yeah, there's an engineer for you. That's a Johnson Controls damper control system. But this woman was a good connection to talk to, and I think I have her contact info. For some reason. Okay, so this is the Phoenix Rising. This is where the riots were and the fires. The police cars were on fire and so forth. There's a radio station downstairs, and I think this might be where we found out about the Heal the Hood block party. So we put that on the calendar and then ended up going to that. Here's a little bit about the Phoenix Rising project. Yeah, and then this was contact, this director, Venice Williams, somebody we can reach out to. All right, I'll try to, I'm 6 minutes in, so I better accelerate here. Okay. So jumping ahead to the Heal the Hood Festival, this is more down to earth stuff. This is from tabling. This 414 Life is an interesting organization. I think I asked the tablers, how much it costs them, and I think it was on the order of $100 to get a table. There may be 6 or 7 tables, not a lot. I talked to one of the 414 guys about, so they do counseling, and I hope I'm not messing this up because I'm known for doing that, but there's issues with violence, and he kind of gave me a profile for somebody that if somebody gets mugged or beaten up, they're more prone to themselves becoming violent, and so they try to do direct counseling. This is a whole PDF document. They had a physical one, and they have a PDF that you can read. But I think the focus is on nonviolence. There was a police abolition group with some really young people manning a table. There was a mosque. These guys were really interesting. An Arab group. So this was the June 17th Heal the Hood. There's something fun I want to show you. I'm gonna just fast forward here. So this is a video. Okay. Yeah, these guys were incredible, and that goes on for a few minutes. So I'm at 9 minutes, running out of time. Going ahead to Juneteenth Day, I did 4 different videos on that. I have one in particular, which is pretty incredible here. I'm going to play a little clip of that.
Dude, that's the donate thing. Put it up. Don't be, let me be the only one that donated to your thing, bro. You spit knowledge, homie.
Check it. The
We gonna
reason
put
why
some
that
money in there
technology
for
is
you,
important
man.
is because the reason I made it, hold on, the reason I made this is because I seen a documentary where they said before Europeans came here that a squirrel can go tree to tree from the East Coast to the Mississippi River without touching the ground. So that didn't mean that the forest is that thick. It just means that trees is close enough in certain areas that they can jump. And so then, because I had seen these before, but it didn't make sense, because I'm like, man, they put this on me, I'm out, you know what I'm saying? I'm out of here. Yeah, but if I had this on, and I
All right, so that's at 10 minutes. The point is there was both at the Black Museum and at Juneteenth Day, you know, there were just,
Sorry to interrupt you, Tom.
yeah.
It
Go
looks
ahead.
like somebody wants to be admitted, but no, don't
Yeah,
admit them because,
they look like it. I know they look
Okay,
like not somebody, not our
Alright.
friend, right? Yeah. So
Alright.
I'm at the
Thank you.
10-minute point. There were
Thanks.
what I haven't
Tom.
shown you is there's a bunch of flyers that I got and a bunch of brochures, and in particular, just I'm a minute over, but there was a Black Education Manifesto, and I've got that in writing, and that was a really meaningful thing. So, all right, pass.
Thanks, Tom. And also, I'd like to say on the Black Education Manifesto, we might be able to use that person for educational component in the future.
Right, I'm sorry if
And
you're getting sound.
getting it.
Let me.
I am getting a sound and a delay on my sound, but that's okay. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so can everyone see the agenda? You don't need to say anything, just we're moving on. So moving on to, just so you can see in the educational component there, as far as Heal the Hood goes, that was sponsored by Malali Coggs, and she did what do you call those when politicians do she did a neighborhood or her district, come together kind of meeting in a park on 721. So I thought that would be good to just share that she did that. And also she put out this thing with important phone numbers with her name on it, but all the important phone numbers in the city. She was putting those out there too. And there are other resources, the best resources. I'm in the process of screening these resources. The ones I found that are the most active and the most useful so far, their websites are actually up to date, and it looks like they actually are good resources for the community. We Got This Milwaukee, Liberate Milwaukee, and that's a magazine as well, and runningrebels.org. And then Jason Thompson is someone I want to talk to. He's the workforce outreach specialist, and he had a table there. So sorry, we're a little bit over on this one, so we're going to move on. Tom put some links there for everybody to see. Thank you, Tom. And announcements. Let's see, we have 7 minutes for that. 11:47. So let's see what's new on here. So there's just an announcement about Elizabeth Theo Harris and Reverend Barber getting arrested. And they're working on the third Reconstruction March on Washington, which will be June 22nd. And so that's there. And People's Power Summit last Tuesday. That's Brian Pfeiffer's, working group. They were in Green Bay this past weekend doing the Stop Line 3 rally. So I was able to be there too, because I had to be up there working on our camp, and handed out those nice posters that Barbara has. They're like half poster size. So you can put them on your windshield. It says "Time for a Green New Deal," and then it has Green Party on the bottom. So those are very popular. I handed out quite a few of those, and Brian took one. Or no, I have to send him one, is what it was, because he had his own flyers he was handing out. And for the latest on what People's Power Summit is doing, and to see, stuff about what they did last Tuesday, which was an emergency Stop the Hate rally in Manitowoc, you can go to peoplespowersummit.org. And the last announcement I have is 60 women climate crisis leaders came together and put together a book called All We Can Save Anthology. So I'm going to propose that we actually buy that so we could use it as, something that we can move forward with on our climate work. But are there any announcements before we deal with that proposal? Any other announcements?
Can you restate the proposal? Sorry. By
Sure.
what?
The proposal is that we buy the book All We Can Save Anthology. It's by 60 women climate crisis leaders. And it just came out. Any other announcements before we deal with that proposal? All right. Any stand-asides?
Why not just give money to the author? Why are we buying a book?
Okay, so in the book, what they do is they come up with the things that they think we can do right now. So, and again, these are 60 women climate crisis leaders. So they came together to put this together. So I think we can use that in our work for this climate crisis work that we do, and also share it with our coalition partners in the community. Any other questions?
Can we read this online? I'm just wondering, it's an interesting concept to me of just books in general, the information, if we could get it online, we could read the book online. Maybe I'm going down a rabbit hole, but and I realize books are
incredible. Yeah, I don't know, but you could investigate that, Tom.
Okay.
You could investigate that if you want, Tom, and then we won't wait for, we won't buy it until you've investigated that, but I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, if I give me the title.
We'll go ahead and deal with the. It's right on the agenda there.
Thanks.
See it?
Yeah, I'll find it.
Okay. So we'll deal with the proposal, and then if Tom gives us additional information, we'll revisit it before it actually make the purchase. Are there any stand-asides? Are there any blocks? All right. It has passed, and we'll move on to coalition updates. Somebody want to start with that? Okay, I can start with that if nobody else wants to. Let's see.
You can put me on the stack too. I've got a few.
Go ahead, Byra.
So one of them is with the Poor People's Army. They sometimes I just kind of I can't figure out when their meeting is because they have it on East Coast time, and I didn't attend this last one, but they did have a few things that they've been talking about. One of those is that Sherry and the Poor People's Army is suing the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Housing and Urban Development, you know, they have all of these houses that are public, you know, property to specifically house people. And Sherry and her group put a bunch of people in these houses around Philadelphia, and HUD started to evict people. So that's what the lawsuit is about, that basically the Poor People's Army is taking away the middleman and using those public properties just as they were intended for, which is public housing. And so we'll see what the courts decide, but that's a huge deal. The second thing is they're having a fundraiser right now. So on the Poor People's Army website, they're looking for as many sustaining donors as possible. And they've got like a special going on right now. So if you sign up for $5 a month, you get a pin and an intro packet. For $20, you also get a t-shirt, and for $50, you get a hoodie as well. So like it goes up and up the ladder. So if anybody's interested, it's always a good cause to support. The second update that I have is with Get the Let Out. And this is actually coming through a call that I was on with Adam Kasalki, who was talking with a couple of the Get the Let Out leaders. They are really looking for somebody to run against some of the aldermen next year that would be strong on anti-lead issues. And so that's, my ear is definitely perked up at that, because we're very strongly against the lead issue, having lead in our water. And recently, I'm blanking on his name, the alderman in my old district, he's been in the news a lot because he's been all of a sudden saying, oh, well, lead in the water is probably not really a problem at all. Just going even farther back to acting as if there is no problem, which is completely unacceptable. So if there are people that are on the east side who are interested in running for alderman next year, that's really the district that we're looking in to take these aldermen out of office who just don't even have the lead issue on their radar and just don't even care about it. And that's something that we can help with strongly at running a candidate and also fielding one. So those are my two updates, and I'll pass.
Thanks, Byra.
Zach, Bill.
Okay. Go ahead, Bill.
My memory doesn't really serve me well. Remind me, did we endorse the campaign by the committee or the coalition to normalize relations with Cuba? They've been conducting monthly car caravans in Milwaukee as part of a national campaign to bring pressure on the Biden administration to lift the sanctions imposed by the Trump administration against Cuba. Do folks recall whether we endorsed that?
Yes, we did that.
We did. I thought we had. Yes. So some
2
of us
months
have,
ago, I think.
a couple months ago, right? And it's been endorsed by DSA and quite a few other organizations. These car caravans, mainly on the south side, it's usually a couple dozen cars, have been promoting the lifting of the blockade of Cuba. And we've talked about this before. Cuba has suffered terribly under the embargo that's been imposed on their country. A good example is they have developed 5 vaccines, 2 of which are being used right now, but they lack syringes because of the blockade. So there was a national campaign to raise funds to help overcome this blockade around the syringes, and 6 million syringes were delivered to Cuba after about $500,000 was raised in the US to support that campaign. So over the last several months, I've had the opportunity to sit in on a number of webinars and online seminars, some of them sponsored by Peace Action, which have continued to get out the word on the very detrimental impact of the US campaign against Cuba. So that's a coalition we've participated in, and the Greens continue to have an involvement in that. So I just wanted to report on that. Pass.
Thank you both for reporting on that. That's a real important coalition of ours. And so we are a little bit over on our coalition updates. Well, let's see, 4 minutes over. So, and we have a big agenda. I'm going to ask you to just look at the rest of the coalition updates as you have time. And we're going to move on to canvassing options on the actual agenda. And I can start with that. So at the election committee, we decided to put this on the agenda rather than just have it be part of the election committee report. So some personal stuff got in my way last time we were going to do canvassing options, and something happened to somebody else too. So it didn't happen, but so we didn't do canvassing is what I mean. But my suggestion was that we do Robin Voss's district, and just educate people about the Green New Deal there and why they might want to vote for somebody other than Robin Voss. So let's open discussion on that. We have 4 minutes. Pass.
Flyers, I think, would be the first thing. Review what we have and maybe update. And can the scope doesn't have to be limited to just one issue, right? So could we leverage some of that Medicare for All stuff that was done recently? Like, you guys have flyers for that? Pass.
I'll put myself on the stack. My feeling is that I would like us to just stick to the Green New Deal issue because it encompasses all of that. And the more we give people, the less likely they are to engage. So the thing I really like about that flyer is it just, has us comparing ourselves to the Democrats, and people kind of like that we're not for the Democrats, especially in Robin Voss's district. They're going to like it. So I guess that's my opinion on that, just for discussion. And pass. We have 3 minutes left.
Well, I still want to follow up. And you have a flyer for the Medicare for All. I want to make, and we can reuse that at some point. I'd like to get that into the flyers folder at whatever level it should be, either the local chapter or the state chapter or both. Pass.
Thanks, Tom. Mike has volunteered to put that into the flyers folder. Mike, did you want to be on the staff?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that first. Dave did posted the original Google Doc up there, but we'll make sure that it's accessible. As far as I really support any kind of outreach that we do, and if people are willing to go down to Racine to denounce Robin Voss, I'm all for it.
Thanks, Mike, for your support. Are you passing?
Yes. Pass.
Barbara's back.
Go ahead, Barbara.
How many of the old Racine Green group are we still in touch with? Because if we're gonna go all the way down there, we might as well invite whoever we already know down there to come and join us and maybe rekindle things with them, or if we know somebody in that group that may be wanting to run against Robin Voss next year, then that would just, be two birds with one scone, as they say. Pass.
Thanks, Barbara. I think that's a really excellent suggestion, and maybe we could use Nation Builder. Maybe Tom could help us and you could help us to use Nation Builder to find those Racine people and let them know that we want to come down and coordinate an event with them for canvassing. We are we're actually out of time on this one. So if it's okay, we'll just move the rest of that discussion to the Elections Committee. And if you want to participate, come to the Elections Committee meeting. Barbara will be announcing it. Or do you want to announce that right now, Barbara, the date and time?
Did we say it's the first Wednesday of the month or the second?
First Wednesday.
Okay, so that would be Wednesday, September 1st. And the time is 5 to 5:30 p.m.
Thanks, Barbara. Okay, next item on our agenda is just a quick recap of the Green Bay Line 3 protest. I would say there was probably about 50 to 60 people that were there. And there was a march that took place that was last weekend on Saturday. And like I said, Brian Pfeiffer was there. And there was a Green Party man there named Marcus. And he's from Oconto, and he had a Green Party shirt on. So he was saying there's not much Green Party stuff happening in Oconto, but I think we might be able to reach out to him with one of those posters. He wanted one of those posters that Barbara got for us, but he didn't have any place to carry it at the time because he had made himself a sign and stuff like that. So that was an actual march. And Helfenstein Soup Council Incorporated, a group that I'm on the board with in Green Bay, supported that. So we were represented there by 3 or 4 people. Any questions about that protest in Green Bay? It was also about the Line 5 pipeline. They're both Enbridge pipelines, and Line 5 actually runs in the Straits of Mackinac, and the governor has said that it needs to close down, Governor of Michigan, because it hasn't been maintained. And of course, if that ruptured, it would actually go into Lake Michigan, and I'm not sure what other lake is there, but that's how serious it is. The governor of Michigan has said that it needs to close down. So far, Enbridge is refusing to do that. Any questions before we move on?
Can you give any kind of, well, you gave sort of an overview of Line 5, but Line 3, is that the one that kind of comes out of Canada and then bounces back? Just some meaningful description of Line 3. At one time I knew what it was, but now I don't.
Through Minnesota.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
comes in around Duluth, that area, or,
I think so, yeah.
okay. And, okay,
Mhm.
well, I need to
And-
look it up,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah.
it's,
Go ahead.
and there is a link there, Tom, for you. Okay, so next thing is just really more of an announcement. The annual national meeting actually happened at a time when our folks were really busy with other stuff. So it doesn't look like anyone from Greater Milwaukee Green Party was able to attend, but that stuff is online. So there is some links there for people that want to check out any of those workshops and find out what was offered at the annual national meeting for the Green Party of the United States. The, the next item is, unless anybody has anything they want to stop me about. Okay. The next item is just a little review of our short-term objectives. So actually just for this one goal, the development goal, the hard copy mailing is
There's a couple maps.
pretty much ready to, I'm sorry? Was that Barbara?
Sorry, I should have been on mute.
Okay. So the hard copy mailing is pretty much ready to go. Patty gave us like a format that we can use for an outline. So I just have to fix that to make it a little bit more specific for Greater Milwaukee Green Party. And then Tom and Curtis have been working on how to get the mailing labels for us, and they've completed their task with that. So Tom has done a little teaching thing about that, so we should be able to do that. And then Bill has offered to do the actual mailing part. And so I'll do the duplicating of the copies of the letter to go out. Any questions about that? All right. And then also, just to be fair, Tom has been working on improving our website and especially keeping the improvements that were already made that he and Jennifer and other people did in place. So the website looks real nice when you open up the homepage. Jennifer and Tom did some real nice colored, photograph kind of stuff that looks really great. And then Tom has been very kind about giving his some time to make sure it has something that's relevant and up to date on the homepage when people open up that homepage. Okay. And when Barb comes, if she's able to make it, we can, just so everyone knows, Barb Eisenberg did text us. She's trying to make it, but a friend of hers had a bad reaction to the second shot of the vaccine, and so she's helping that person. So that's why she's running late. Let's see. So Global Greens battle the climate crisis. Did you want to start on that one, Mike?
Okay, sure. I was suggesting that with the fall arriving, that perhaps as the educational plank for next month's meeting, I could prepare kind of a brief talk on the Global Greens strategies and folks, what green parties around the planet are doing to save the planet. And that would be our educational next time around.
Thanks, Mike. That would be great. Any other comments on that? Because we are a little bit behind. All right, we will move on then. So this outreach options, you know, for building diversity, basically Milwaukee protests on Facebook and the People's Revolution Milwaukee on Facebook. Those are actions that are happening in Milwaukee, protests and things like that. Talked about that every time pretty much, but it's important that we build diversity, so it's staying on the agenda so far. The next item is, what can we do about the dismantling of the Postal Service? And of course, that's one of the biggest unions in the United States. So they're very motivated to dismantle it and again, attack the middle class. So we're open for discussion on that. We have 4 minutes. That's something that the election committee decided would go on the agenda rather than just on the election committee agenda.
I can start.
Go ahead, Barbara. Yep.
Well, when we were in the meeting and I was talking about this is one of those issues that it seems like it's a left-right issue, that the media has presented it like one, but actually it's really just bad for everybody. And if we're talking to more conservative people out, say like we were in Robin Voss's district and we were talking to somebody and they brought up, you know, mail fraud or whatever like that. You know, the Democrats have been just as awful on the issue of the Postal Service. They're probably even worse because of like Pete Buttigieg's private firm that, you know, a while back, they were the ones who lobbied originally for the 100-year or 50-year insurance on postal workers that's caused such problems for the Postal Service. And the fact that we have a president who is refusing to put a new person in place and really update the head staff of the Postal Service is a clear indicator that the Democrats are just as poor on this issue as well. Pass.
Thanks, Barbara. Really appreciate you speaking up about that. Yeah, getting rid of DeJoy is something that, you know, Biden has pretending like he's doing something, but he's not doing anything about it. And it just helps me to feel like the Democrats really want to suppress the vote as much as the Republicans do to keep the oligarchs getting what they want, you know, more and more money. Anybody else want to be on the stack for that? We do have like
Tom Stack.
Go ahead, Tom.
So if I start doing this again, it's been years since I did this, but just making some phone calls is easier to some degree than doing letters. And so if I started complaining to, federal to my senator and representatives, I could share some of the experiences with that and help others do that. Like as we start to get to know staff people, right, get their names down and figure out when it's easiest to reach people and so forth and so on. Because making a phone call can be less effort unless you're put on hold and so forth. Is anybody making phone calls to congressional staff? Pass.
Yeah, I've done that. Does anyone else want to respond to that before we move on? Okay. Well, yeah, so that will stay on the agenda of the election committee. And thanks everybody for sharing on that. pretty important for our next election. Oh, the other thing there is, if there's anybody that's involved in unions or has any union contacts, I know, especially Bill has been a good resource on that. You know, anything we can do about, you know, the fact that, you know, DeJoy's agenda is to privatize, and that would get rid of one of the largest unions in the United States. And again, it, you know, dismantle the middle class. So let's
Tom
move
Stack.
on. Fridays for the
Mike Stack.
future. Go ahead, Mike.
I think Tom was first, technically.
Yeah, but I've been
Oh,
talking.
okay. Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, Brian Pfeiffer, he, for whatever reason, he's like returning my phone calls now. And I think he's a resource for us too, for the union connections, pass.
And I'm on
Good
the
point, Tom.
labor.
Thank you.
I'm on the Labor Council mailing list, so I get a bunch of stuff. As things, as relevant things keep happening, I will post to the to our list as well.
Thanks, Mike. All right. So Fridays for the Future is calling for a global climate strike, 9/24. And, you know, just so we understand how much the corporate media is downplaying the climate change, Bezos got as much media coverage on morning shows in one day last year as global warming got in the whole year. So we're going to have to do it. We can't depend on the government or corporate media to do it. There's just a list there of some prevent global warming options for Greater Milwaukee Green Party folks that we've talked about. And then we're down to meeting with the Four Lakes Greens. We have 3 minutes for that one. Somebody want to start with that? What we really
Mike
need is a
Stack.
point person on that. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I still think it's a great idea, but I think Four Lakes is going to have to initiate. You know, I'm not exactly sure where, as you know, if the state of their meetings these days.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could, you know, it seems like this is the time of year to do it in person, but if we're not, if we could at least do a Zoom, right? So, well, yeah, and I'm talking to Sam Chance a fair amount, so yeah, I could bounce it off of him. Pass.
Thanks, Tom, for taking the lead on that. And we'll just wait to hear from you on that one then. We are, anybody else on that before we move on? I understand that, you know, things that, like, I really appreciate what you said, Mike, about how things at the Four Lakes Greens might be. We don't really know what's happening with their meetings right now, but I'm sure Tom can find out for us. Okay, and anything that anyone wants on next month's agenda? All right, then we are up to
Obviously, we're going to be
accomplishments
talking
and recognition.
about Mike Stack.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, obviously, we're going to be talking about the climate strike. So, because that'll be 2 weeks ahead of that, give or
Yeah,
take.
something like
So
that. It's
that's
the
probably going to be a
24th.
good
Yeah.
chunk of our stuff.
Yep, good point. All right, accomplishments and recognition. So Bill attended the Medicare for All rally in March. and Mike and Greg marched with the banner. Mike, were you saying that there was a picture of our banner or a picture of Green Party, anything on the TV?
None of the above, but Bill's son was in the big photo in the journal. Not that that actually matters to us.
Yeah, so there wasn't anything, because that's what I kind of saw too on the TV, was that there was nothing about us or any other party. It was just, you know, they probably had to be real careful about the video they used, that they didn't, or they definitely were real careful. They didn't show anything that would, you know, notice any other party besides the Democrats or Republicans. Don't want people to know about those, apparently. Mike made the flyer with other Wisconsin Greens at the state level, and Greg, Bill, and Mike handed that out. Time for a Green New Deal posters that Barbara has gotten for us were very popular, so we also handed those out, and people were asking if they could put them next to their Medicare for All things. So that was really good. We're going to probably have to get some more of those too, because we're running out of them. They're so popular. Tom for training us, Pam and I, and representing us at the Lanterns for Peace. Patty for her praise of our team, and her words are in quote there, in quotes. She said, the Greater Milwaukee Green Party, in a letter to me, is a model for what the Green Party could be. So I just wanted to share that. I thought it was very nice for praise for our team. Kurt for working on the training video for address labels for the mail blast, and Tom for updating our security certificate for and homepage for our website. Anything else, anyone else that we would want to recognize their accomplishments or just recognize? Okay. Our next meeting is on 8/14, 9/14 that's supposed to be, sorry. And you know, it'll be
Actually,
remote.
it's 9/11.
Sure. Oh, 9/11. I thought I fixed that. Why isn't that
Wow,
fixed?
9/11.
Yeah.
Lucky
Thank
us.
you, Mike. Yeah. And
Well, that I'm sorry, but
go
that
ahead, Tom.
triggers. Well, it's just such an obvious trigger. You know, it's like, could we allocate like 8 minutes to talk about deep state crimes against democracy or something? You know, I mean, it's an important.
Could we do it in 4?
Okay,
because it
4.
would probably just be somebody
Yeah.
talking about it. Okay, thanks, Tom. Yeah, that's important. So it will be remote, and you know, we talked about doing some in-person socially distanced stuff. This could be our last chance for an outdoor this summer kind of meeting. So maybe something that would be remote, but also a get together that would be kind of safe because it would be outside. So I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if there's any interest.
I'd love to, but I'm going to be joining you guys from out of town, so I won't be able to make it an in-person thing. Pass.
Yeah, I knew you would be interested, Barbara. Anybody else?
I'm just curious.
Jennifer, did you?
Does anybody have?
Did you have something to say?
A good phone
Just a second,
plan?
Tom.
Okay.
Jennifer, were you trying to get in there?
Not really.
Okay, go ahead, Tom. Okay,
Yeah,
you lit up, so I thought you were trying to. Go ahead.
So if we were doing a picnic venue and we still wanted to do the Zoom thing, if someone had a good cell phone with a good cell phone plan, we could pull that off, but it wouldn't be my phone. So does anyone have like Verizon or, you know, and with unlimited data pass?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you could
Are
maybe,
you saying yes, Jennifer?
Yes, I have Verizon and I have unlimited data.
Great.
so yeah, we could
Cool.
coordinate, and then maybe we could do the whole thing remote. You just so you if you put your phone
Yeah.
on the picnic
And I
table.
kind of like the
kinda-
idea of a picnic, you know.
Yeah, it does sound like fun, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Okay, so should we have a little committee? Jennifer, Tom, and I? Anybody else want to be on that committee? All right, so we are a committee then, and let's see, we're
Are we a committee or are we a working group? I'm just, what's the difference?
well, whatever we want to call it. We can call it working group if you want, Tom. That's fine. Yeah,
I
working
like,
group is
because working group is temporal, whereas committee is everlasting pass.
All right, sounds good. If anybody wants a recap of this meeting, there's the link to the YouTube video. And we are ready for our call to action. Who would like to do that for us today?
I
Hearing
can always
nobody.
do it,
Thank you,
unless you want
Mike.
to, Greg.
No, I was hoping you would do that.
I'm happy to be the default on this, but anyway. So raise your hands. We believe
We believe
in alternative and independent politics
in alternative, independent politics
and active, responsible government.
and active, responsible
government.
government.
We believe
We believe
We believe
in the empowering of all citizens
in the power
in the empowering of all citizens
and communities to create the world we want.
And communities to create the world we want.
communities to create the world we want.
We offer hope
Hope
and a call to action.
And a call to action.
and a call to action.
Green and growing.
growing.
Green and growing.
Growing.
Green and growing. Come on.
Green and
folks,
growing.
let's-
Green and growing.
Green and growing.
Green and growing.
Green and growing. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Mike, can you
All right.
stay on maybe for 4 minutes or so? I have, okay.
Jennifer, is it okay if I contact you by email for our committee? Or how do you want to be contacted? I mean, for our working group.
Email would be fine.
Okay, all right,
Might give me a heads up, maybe like text message.
sure.
Just in case
Text you
don't
that I
see the
sent an email. Yeah, I'll text you that I send an email.
Okay,
All right,
go ahead.
sounds good.
Bye,
Take care,
everyone.
everybody.
Oh yeah, by the way, I'm
Bye,
starting
Jennifer.
class
Great
up
to
again.
see you again.
Bye, Carrie.
I'm
So-
starting class up again, so just so you guys know.
Right.
Back to that, huh?
Okay, I see you guys later.
All right. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Take care. Nice to see you.
Take care. Bye, Jennifer. Yeah, so I haven't got any momentum on this, but yeah, I'll share my screen. Yeah, okay. Desktop too. Yeah, I think that's it. So I think this. So can you see this screen that says manage site, blah, blah, blah?
I can.
Okay, so I think this is the wiki. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, well, this is actually good. So it says Thomas Rodman is owner. I think you made me an owner. I appreciate that. Or somebody, you must have done it.
I must have.
Yeah. Now, I think the issue is that we only can have one owner during the conversion. So either you do the conversion and then kick me off of being an owner, or vice versa. And then when we come out the other side, the migration, we'll have something entirely different, and we'll do whatever the appropriate permission sharing is. But I just wanted to get your okay. I haven't gotten much mental momentum on this, but I think I can dig up the instructions. I think I did some sort of test conversion, and it said you can only have one owner during the site migration and blah, 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 Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, here, what does this say? It says convert to new sites. Converting. Yeah. All right. That's the main thing. I didn't want there to be any bad feelings if I didn't want to just go ahead and do something without you knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Now let's see if I can work my way out of this. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And yeah, so I'm back. So then another question was, I was just curious. I didn't over prepare, obviously, but I did prepare a little bit. Did the sound come through on those videos? Was it acceptable or too loud or not loud enough? Or
it was fine, especially at the festival. I don't know if there wasn't a lot of audio in the
in the Phoenix Rising,
Sherman Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't talking. That makes sense. Yeah, those acrobatic kids, that was so impressive. It was wonderful. And there's some good dancing. There's some interesting dancing in the Juneteenth thing. But yeah, now the trick was, well, I ran into the same thing with that Zoom issue. Anyhow, when I was sharing my screen, I had two pop-ups. I was expecting one, but when you share your screen in Zoom, there's two radio boxes. One is to share your sound, and then the other is to optimize the video for sharing YouTubes or for sharing videos. And so there's two radio boxes I clicked on, and 99% of the time you're not doing that. So you're not gonna be aware of those boxes, right? But just letting you know, that was the one little trick. All right. Cool. So there's the Linux users group meeting with Roger at 1, and I probably won't be there, or I'll be late, but whatever.
I really wish that somebody would move, because I can't do 2 meetings in one day, especially on a Saturday.
It's a lot of sitting. Yeah. Well, we conflict with so many other meetings. There's 2 meetings that we conflict with. I would like us to move to another time.
But... because there's the DSA stuff that the DSA is meeting and the Linux group is meeting. So we should probably talk about picking another day, but it's just always fraught with disaster.
Oh, and you got to stop me after this. Try to stop me. The DSA podcast is technically very smooth, and I don't know, some of them have been okay. Like I think I listened to almost half of one, so it must be pretty good. Are you aware of it? Cream City.
I don't think I was aware of a local DSA podcast.
Yeah, there is.
Cool.
Where should I share that? I could share that in the Solidarity group, right? Give you a link to it or whatever.
All right. Just email, yeah, or send it
direct.
To me.
Yeah, I could just. You're still on Google Chat. And by the way, Sam Chance uses Google Chat. Sam Chance, boy, he wants to tailorize WIGPIT. I mean, he's like this disciplinarian. I mean, he wants to use Kanban. He wants to assign tasks, and he doesn't want none of this like social interaction. It's all got to be documented. And well, I mean, I obviously that's one extreme, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's valuable if we can, if I can kind of, in effect, write myself out of a job, like describe everything I do and then have somebody else do it. That would be great. But I'm just giving you a flavor for where Sam Chance is coming from. And
I have nothing against Kanban boards, but yeah, we don't have to enforce them strictly.
No.
But it would be good to have a list of stuff that we could just pull, that we could all pull from.
Right. And I think that the distinction I pick up from Sam was just one person. If you start assigning like 4 people to one task, you just one person is the owner, and then they can delegate and recruit. That's kind of what I picked up from Sam. Because when I was doing that, I made the mistake of assigning multiple people to one thing, and I think people started getting resentful and angry. It's like, why am I getting these emails? And it's like I figured out how not to do it. All right, I'm good.
All right, take care, Tom.
Yeah, you too, Mike. I'll be all right. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.